Hello everyone and welcome to Sunburned. Albino officially does this now whenever the boss ranking in question reaches 100,000 views, which my Dark Souls 3 video recently did and my Neo video is very close to. Going through, I was actually surprised how few negative comments my video had. Like, sure, 60% of them were WTF Osiris, but for the most part, everybody voiced their feedback in a positive way. The ones that didn't, I have cut down to 1 or 2 representative comments for each negative theme, and since there aren't a lot, I'll fill the end of the video with some general responses and corrections to basic notions people had. Let's start with the most fun one. Cole Espinola writes, "This is a blatant ripoff of democracy." It sure isn't, and I sure do never get tired of hearing that. YouTube ideas are public domain and usable by anyone, and that's a generous stance for me to take, given that my Bloodborne boss ranking came out 6 months before anybody knew who he was. That's not a shot, it's just the truth. My Dark Souls 3 ranking did in fact come out 4 or 5 days after Democracies because I thought I was the only one doing this shit, so I let myself get lazy with punctuality. Really, he should thank me, because if I had rolled that video out when I should have, our subscriber counts would be flipped. Not because either of us is better than the other, but because timing is the most important aspect of YouTube marketing, and he filled a slot that I left vacant. Are there feelings of bitterness and jealousy? You're darn straight tootin' there are. Wouldn't you have them? But I view them with levity, and I use them as a life lesson. So to set the record straight for all time, of course I don't hate Democracy or care what he does. My subscribers and friends will make their jokes, and I go along with them because it's funny. It's objectively funny that I don't have 100,000 subscribers right now, thanks in part to some young upstart that's actually older than me, but career-wise it still makes sense. There's a reason why half the answers people give in my Quiplash streams are Democracy references. It's something I'll never live down, and I have accepted it because it is legitimately hilarious. Project FEV writes, "Democracy's easiest to hardest Dark Souls 3 bosses was so much better." I don't know who Democracy is. Are you telling me an entire system of government elected by the people for the people made a boss ranking that knocks mine out of the park? I simply must see it. Is there a monarchy one? A bureaucracy? Vincent Cruel writes, "The commentary is try hard to be funny, but fails to make anyone laugh." I replied to this one in the comments already, but basically I questioned his credentials as the audience spokesman. I have more to say in response, but I'll save it for the next comment I read, which was a reply to Vincent's original one. Taylor Lanson wrote, "I agree with you completely. This guy has about as much charisma as a sack of hammers," great joke, and his deadpan delivery doesn't do him any favors. The funniest thing about this is that he acts like all his jokes were genuine or effortless, when it's overly apparent that he's reading from a script he wrote beforehand. Give me a break. You should really leave metaphors to the professionals. Here's an example. Taylor Lanson has about as much experience knitting a poetic quilt as a grandmother with arthritis and a learning disability. The part where you say my jokes can't be genuine or effortless because I put them in a script would be a great point if I didn't type out said script in a few hours. How can you type a 20-minute script in a few hours when your fingers are moving at blistering speeds because the wit and comedic stylings are entering your brain just as quickly as your digits can juxtapose them into a document? It's really quite thrilling, and I talk very fast. Gunschwinger writes, "Osiris' hardest boss? Have a downvote." Gunschwinger, replying to someone in his feed who says difficulty is subjective, writes, "Osiris is the easiest boss in the game by far." You're fucking delusional. It's one thing to disagree with someone's placement, but so many people in an effort to be explosively hyperbolic will always shove your opinion in the opposite direction as forcefully as they can with a crazy counter-declaration. Osiris is the easiest boss in the game, by far. Have you fought Ancient Wyvern, where you win by a single plunging attack? Have you fought the tutorial boss? I will not accept that anyone actually thinks Osiris is the easiest boss, because nobody does. When people don't like you, they just want to be as far removed from your opinion as possible. Nobody is taking you seriously, Gunschwinger. Your opinions are reactionary and volatile, and they hold no value. Dravir Zabros says, "The commentator trying to make jokes is too cringy." You know what's cringy is that you press the caps lock key the way Bill Cosby presses black models and actresses, intermittently, with no regard for how it will ruin your name. Raging Hellbeast writes, "You are a loudmouth faggot." Speaking of caps lock, at least my name isn't in a constant shouting match with the rest of the world. So that's the size of things for the most part. I'd like to take the time now to address some common comment themes that weren't necessarily hostile. People really wanted to be clear that I knew Aldrich was a genderless snake sludge monster that was in the process of eating cross-dressing definitely boy Gwendolyn. Gotcha. People who said I needed to get good because I put Osiris over someone they struggled with like Champion Gundyr. Question. If I dominate a boss that you think is really hard, doesn't that make me good? I will say that I don't think Crystal Sage is that hard anymore. Maybe even the Curse-Rotted Greatwood either, but I maintain Osiris right where he is. Well, that's going to do it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, you can like, share, and subscribe. One of these for Neo should be doable in a week or two based on the view count, and I'll see you guys next time.